The first blow, emerges empire. The sky was no longer blue. It was covered by massive alien warships, their dark metallic hulls blocking out the sun. People on Earth stood frozen, staring up at the invaders with fear. The Galactic Dominion had arrived. A booming voice echoed across the planet. It came from the alien fleet, speaking in perfect human languages. You are now subjects of the Galactic Dominion. Surrender and obey, or face destruction. Governments tried to negotiate, but the aliens didn't care. They were not here to talk. They were here to take. Cities fell within hours as towering alien machines marched through the streets. Their weapons were far beyond human technology. Earth's armies barely had time to react before they were overwhelmed. In a hidden military bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, a group of soldiers, scientists, and strategists gathered. They were some of the last free humans. Among them was Captain Daniel Carter, a hardened veteran who had seen war before, but nothing like this. "The world is surrendering," a young lieutenant said, his voice shaking. "We can't fight them." Carter slammed his fist on the table. "If we surrender, we're nothing but slaves. We have to fight back." A scientist, Dr. Evelyn Ross, stepped forward. "We don't have their technology, but we have something they don't: our will to survive." The resistance was formed that night. They had no alien weapons, no spaceships, and no advanced technology. But they had one thing that mattered: a reason to fight. The first strike. The aliens set up massive labor camps, forcing humans to work like machines. Those who resisted were executed without mercy. The Galactic Dominion saw humans as weak, easily controlled. They were wrong. In a ruined city, a small group of rebels moved under the cover of darkness. Carter led the team. They had a single goal: strike first. If humanity was going to survive, they had to show the aliens that Earth was not an easy prize. A patrol of 4 alien soldiers stood guard near an outpost. They were tall, armored, and carried plasma rifles that could burn through steel. They spoke in their strange, guttural language, laughing at how easy it was to take over Earth. Then, without warning, BM, a homemade explosive detonated beneath their feet. Fire and smoke filled the air. Before the aliens could react, Carter and his team opened fire. Their weapons were primitive compared to the aliens, but the element of surprise gave them an advantage. Bullets slammed into the armored creatures, barely penetrating. One alien raised its plasma rifle, ZAP. A blue energy blast shot past Carter's head. He died behind cover, heart pounding. "Aim for the joints," Dr. Ross shouted from behind. She had studied the alien armor, finding its weak points. Carter adjusted his aim. His rifle roared, and a bullet struck the gap between an alien's neck and chest plate. The creature staggered, gurgled, then collapsed. The others fell soon after. The rebels had won their first battle. The message sent. It wasn't just about killing a few aliens. The real victory was what came next. The rebels hacked into the alien communication system and broadcasted a message across the city. "Humanity will not kneel. We are still here, and we will fight." Across the planet, pockets of resistance heard the message. In the ruins of London, ex-soldiers armed themselves. In the mountains of China, hackers worked to disrupt alien systems. In the streets of New York, civilians built barricades, ready to fight. Humanity was no longer just running. It was rising. The Galactic Dominion responds. Deep inside the command center of the alien mothership, an alien general named Vothar watched the footage. He snarled, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "These creatures should have submitted by now," he hissed. A second alien, a strategist named Teravek, spoke calmly. "They are not like the others we have conquered. They resist, even when defeat is certain." Vothar's claws tapped against the control panel. "Then we will teach them true fear." The Galactic Dominion would not tolerate defiance. They prepared to strike back harder. But they still did not understand one thing: humans never stopped fighting. The battle had just begun. Humanity's secret weapon. The Galactic Dominion believed the rebellion would be crushed in days. They underestimated humanity. From the shadows, resistance cells spread across the world. Every city, every ruined street, every underground hideout became a battlefield. But humanity needed more than just bravery. They needed an edge. Deep inside an underground bunker, Dr. Evelyn Ross and her team of scientists worked day and night. The bunker was once a military research facility, now turned into the nerve center of the resistance. Scattered across the tables were stolen alien weapons, broken energy cores, and strange devices scavenged from fallen Dominion soldiers. Ross adjusted her glasses, studying the alien technology. "There's a pattern," she muttered. Captain Daniel Carter stood beside her, arms crossed. "A pattern." Ross nodded, pointing to the holographic display. "The aliens rely on eye-controlled networks. Their machines, their weapons, even their warships, all linked to a central system. If we disrupt that, we shut them down," Carter finished, eyes lighting up. But there was a problem. The Dominion's network was highly secure, almost impossible to hack. Ross's team had been trying for days with no success. That's when a voice spoke from the corner. "Maybe you need a human touch." Carter turned. Standing there was Liam Novak, a hacker and former cyber criminal. He had once been hunted by global intelligence agencies. Now he was the Resistance's best hope. "Let me take a crack at it," Novak said with a smirk, cracking his knuckles. Ross hesitated. "If we fail, they'll detect us." Novak shrugged. "Then we better not fail." Breaking the system. In a hidden hideout beneath the ruins of New York, Novak connected his modified computer to a salvaged alien console. He worked fast, fingers flying across the keyboard. Carter, Ross, and the rest of the team watched anxiously. Lines of alien code scrolled down the screen. "Access DNID. Access SDNID. AccessDN. "Got it," Novak whispered. The screen flashed green. "Access granted." He was inside. Through the alien network, he could see everything. Troop movements, supply routes, weak points. But more importantly, he saw a flaw in their system. They never expected humans to hack them. Novak chuckled. "I can trigger false commands, delay orders, maybe even shut down their energy shields." Ross grinned. "That could change everything." Carter placed a hand on Novak's shoulder. "Do it." The test mission. To test their theory, the rebels chose a high-risk mission, a direct assault on an alien control hub. If Novak's hack worked, they could disable Dominion defenses long enough for a ground team to take control. The mission team, Carter, Ross, and a small squad of elite fighters, moved through the ruins of an old city. The target was a Dominion outpost, heavily guarded by alien troops and automated drones. From his remote terminal, Novak worked his magic, disabling external sensors. Now, inside the outpost, Dominion soldiers suddenly stopped moving. Their communication feeds scrambled. "Go, go, go," Carter whispered. The rebels rushed forward, taking down stunned alien guards before they could react. Silent gunfire. Quick knife kills. The element of surprise was on their side. Ross reached the control panel and plugged in a hacking device. Novak's voice crackled over the comms. "I'm in, shutting down the energy barriers." Suddenly, the entire outpost lost power. Lights flickered off, security doors unlocked, and alien weapons became useless in their hands. The rebels struck fast, wiping out the confused Dominion forces. Within 10 minutes, the outpost was theirs. It was the first real victory for humanity. The Dominion reacts. Inside the alien mothership, General Vathar watched the attack unfold through his holographic display. His yellow eyes darkened with rage. "They should not be capable of this," he growled. Terevek, his strategist, observed the data. "They are learning, adapting. They are using our own technology against us." Vathar slammed his fist against the console. Then we must remind them who rules this galaxy. The order was given. Deploy the extermination units. No more labor camps. No more mercy. Earth would burn. The resistance had won a battle. But now, the real war was about to begin. The turning point. The rebels had struck their first major blow, but victory came with a price. The Galactic Dominion was furious. Across the planet, the aliens changed their tactics. No more labor camps. No more warnings. Instead, entire cities were marked for extermination. The sky burned as massive warships unleashed destruction. The Dominion wanted to break humanity's spirit before rebellion could spread further. But they made one fatal mistake. They thought fear would stop humans from fighting. They were wrong. The massacre of New London. In the ruins of New London, thousands of civilians ran for cover as Dominion drones rained down plasma fire. Buildings collapsed, streets cracked open, and once bustling roads became graveyards. Captain Daniel Carter and his team arrived just in time to witness the horror. Mothers carrying children screamed for help. Elderly men and women fell to the ground, unable to run. Carter's jaw clenched. He had seen war before, but never like this. Dr. Evelyn Ross gripped his arm. "We have to do something." A distant explosion shook the ground. The Dominion was wiping the city off the map. Carter made a decision. We hold the line. With a handful of rebels, he rushed toward the chaos. They weren't here to escape. They were here to fight. The unexpected counterattack. Novak, the hacker, was already at work. "I can disable their targeting systems, but only for a few minutes," he warned. Carter smirked. "A few minutes is all we need." As Dominion shock troopers landed in the city center, expecting easy slaughter, the rebels struck back. Hidden snipers took down alien officers. Civilians, armed with makeshift weapons, ambushed isolated enemy squads. And then, the real surprise. Hijacked Dominion war drones turned against their own creators, blasting apart enemy positions. The aliens were confused. They had never faced an enemy who adapted so quickly. For the first time since landing on Earth, they retreated. The signal to the stars. The battle was won, but the cost was high. Thousands lay dead. But for the survivors, something changed. They no longer saw themselves as victims. They were warriors now. Dr. Ross knew this wasn't just about Earth. If humanity could defeat the Dominion here, they could take the fight to space. She turned to Novak. "We need to send a message, not just to Earth, but beyond." Novak grinned. "You want to let the whole galaxy know that humanity isn't going down easy." Ross nodded. "Exactly." Within hours, a hacked Dominion relay station sent a distress signal not to the Dominion, but to anyone else listening in the galaxy. A message of defiance. "To anyone who can hear this, Earth is fighting back. We are not slaves. We are not weak. We are humanity, and we will not be conquered." Somewhere, light years away, someone heard the call. But whether they were friend or foe, no one knew yet. The Dominion's next move. Back on the alien mothership, General Vathar watched in fury. Teravek spoke cautiously. "They are resisting harder than we expected. The more we push, the more they fight back." Vathar's claws curled into a fist. "Then we stop playing. No more small strikes. We wipe them out in one final assault." He turned to his war council. "Prepare the fleet. I want Earth burning by the next sunrise." The final battle was coming, and humanity's fate would soon be decided. The desperate counterattack. The Dominion had had enough. The rebels' victories were small, but they sent shockwaves through the alien ranks. Humanity had proven something the Galactic Dominion had never encountered before. They would rather die than kneel. And that made them dangerous. General Vathar, leader of the Dominion fleet, had made his decision. No more mercy. A new fleet of planet-crushing warships was sent to Earth. These weren't scouting ships or patrols. These were extermination vessels, massive, city-sized behemoths designed to erase civilizations. If humanity wanted a war, The Dominion would give them one. The plan to strike back. Deep underground, in a hidden resistance bunker, Captain Daniel Carter, Dr. Evelyn Ross, and hacker Liam Novak watched the incoming fleet on their stolen alien monitors. Ross's voice was grim. They're not here to enslave anymore. They're here to kill everyone. A silence filled the room. The weight of extinction loomed over them. Carter broke it. Then we hit them first. Novak frowned. With what? Harsh language. Ross ignored him. We need a way to take out those warships before they reach the surface. The room was quiet again. Then Novak snapped his fingers. Wait, what if we don't have to fight them head-on? Ross raised an eyebrow. Explain. Novak grinned. Their entire fleet runs on a single command network. If we hack it, we can turn their ships against them. Carter nodded slowly. How do we get access? Ross's eyes widened as the idea clicked. The mothership. We have to board the command ship. A suicide mission. Sneak aboard the most heavily guarded vessel in the fleet. Hack their systems. Shut everything down. It was impossible. And that was why it just might work. Infiltrating the mothership. The plan was rushed. There was no time for perfection. The Resistance's best pilots would take a stolen alien transport ship and fly straight into the heart of the Dominion fleet. The ship's identification codes had been hacked by Novak, so they could slip through unnoticed, but only for a few minutes. Carter, Ross, Novak, and a team of elite rebels boarded the stolen ship. Once inside the mothership, they had to find the command core and upload the virus. The moment they entered the alien fleet's defense perimeter, alarms blared. The ruse had failed. They know we're here, Novak yelled. Then we don't have time to be careful, Carter replied, grabbing his rifle. The transport ship crash-landed in the docking bay. The rebels poured out, blasters firing. The Dominion was ready. Dozens of alien warriors rushed in, plasma rifles burning red. The battle inside the mothership had begun. Race against time. The team fought their way through metal corridors, dodging plasma fire and taking out enemies as they moved. Ross carried the hacking device, the key to the entire plan. If they failed, Earth was doomed. Novak worked furiously to override doors and security systems, buying them precious seconds. Left, Carter shouted, leading the charge. The control center is this way. The corridors opened into a massive chamber, the heart of the Dominion fleet's AI network. Ross rushed to the console, plugging in the device. Novak, I need time. But time was running out. More alien soldiers flooded in. Carter and the rebels held the line, covering Ross as she worked. Beads of sweat ran down her forehead. She was almost there. The Dominion General Vothar appeared on a holographic screen. His cold, reptilian eyes narrowed. Foolish humans, you cannot win. Surrender, and I will make your deaths painless. Carter fired a shot straight through the hologram. We don't do surrender. Got it, Ross screamed. Uploading virus now. The turning point. In the vastness of space, the Dominion warships suddenly shuddered. Their engines flickered. Their shields failed. Their weapons went silent. Across the entire fleet, control was lost. On the ground, humans looked up in confusion as the warships above began turning against each other, firing wildly, colliding into one another. The Dominion fleet was in chaos. Vothar, on his command deck, watched in horror as his unstoppable armada fell apart. What have they done? He whispered. Carter grinned. We just kicked you out of your own ships. The escape. The mission was a success. But they weren't safe yet. The mothership was collapsing from internal explosions caused by the virus. Carter grabbed Ross and Novak. Move. We have to get out of here. The rebels sprinted through the crumbling corridors. The docking bay was in flames. Their stolen ship was destroyed. But there was one last chance. An abandoned Dominion fighter. They hijacked the small craft and blasted out of the wreckage just as the mothership exploded behind them. The fleet was falling apart, retreating in panic. Earth was saved. For now. The aftermath. On Earth, people cheered as the alien fleet flooded into the stars. The resistance had won. But Carter knew the war wasn't over. Ross stood beside him, looking at the sky. They'll be back, won't they? Carter nodded. Yeah. And next time, we won't just be defending Earth. We'll be taking the fight to them. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. Now, they were fighting for revenge. Humanity's wrath unleashed. The Galactic Dominion had never lost a war. They had crushed countless civilizations, enslaved entire species, and wiped planets from existence. But now, they had tasted defeat. Humanity had done the impossible, not only surviving the invasion but crippling the Dominion's fleet and forcing them to retreat. But Captain Daniel Carter knew one thing for sure. The Dominion would return. And this time, humanity wouldn't wait for them. The new plan: take the fight to the stars. Deep underground, in a secret resistance base, the surviving leaders of humanity gathered. Civilians, soldiers, scientists, and hackers. They were no longer just rebels. They were now the first warriors of an intergalactic war. Dr. Evelyn Ross stood before the council, her voice determined. We can't just defend Earth anymore. We have to strike first. A murmur spread through the room. No one had ever considered humanity going on the offensive. With what? One general scoffed. We barely survived the first attack. Ross smirked. That's where you're wrong. We didn't just survive. We stole their technology, learned their weaknesses, and now we have something we never had before. She tapped on a control panel. A hologram of a massive alien warship appeared. We have their ships. In the final battle, several Dominion warships were left behind, disabled but repairable. The rebels had been working nonstop to reverse engineer their technology. Ross turned to Liam Novak, the hacker who had cracked the Dominion systems. Tell them what you found. Novak leaned forward, grinning. The Dominion thinks we're finished. Their empire spans across the stars, and Earth is just a backwater planet to them. But guess what? He tapped the screen. The map zoomed out to show a vast galactic empire. They have enemies. The hidden enemy of the Dominion. Novak had uncovered something huge. The Galactic Dominion wasn't as united as it seemed. There were other alien races who hated the Dominion, species that had been conquered and enslaved, waiting for someone to rise up against them. Ross folded her arms. If we can find them, if we can prove that the Dominion isn't invincible, we might have allies. Carter's eyes burned with determination. Then we take one of their ships and go find them. The room fell silent. The final battle begins. For the first time in history, humanity was no longer fighting for survival. Now, they were fighting to win. The stolen Dominion warships had been modified, their alien controls reprogrammed for human hands. The first human space fleet was born, not as conquerors, but as liberators. Captain Daniel Carter stood on the bridge of the HSS Vengeance, staring at the glowing stars ahead. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was regrouping, preparing to strike back. But this time, humanity would strike first. Finding the forgotten rebellion. Dr. Evelyn Ross studied the stolen Dominion star maps. She traced a path with her finger, stopping at an uncharted system. This is it, she said. Carter frowned. You're sure? Ross nodded. According to Dominion records, this was a major battleground centuries ago. A species called the Sci-fi fought against the Dominion and lost. But if any of them are still alive, they might be willing to join us. Novak, the hacker, leaned back in his chair. Or they could try to kill us. Carter smirked. That's why we bring the biggest guns. With that, the human fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading straight into the unknown. The Sci-fi's last stand. When the human fleet arrived, they didn't find a graveyard. They found a war. Above a dying red planet, Dominion warships were bombarding the surface. Alien cities burned. The Sci-fi, once a proud warrior race, were on the brink of extinction. Carter clenched his fists. We're too late. Ross shook her head. Not yet. If we attack now, we might turn the tide. Novik chuckled. Didn't think I'd be helping to start a galactic war today, but here we are. Carter opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, battle formation. Let's show these Dominion bastards that humanity fights for more than just ourselves. The HSS Vengeance led the charge. Plasma cannons roared to life, tearing through Dominion fighters. The stolen warships followed, their new human crews pushing them beyond their limits. The Dominion fleet, caught off guard, tried to regroup, but they had never faced enemies who fought like humans before. Unpredictable, reckless, and relentless. A new alliance is forged. On the ground, the Sci-fi warriors watched in shock as Dominion ships exploded in the sky. For centuries, they had fought alone. Now, for the first time, someone had come to fight for them. A Sci-fi general, Kyrex, activated his communicator. His voice was filled with disbelief. "Who are you?" Carter responded over the comms. "The first of many." The Sci-fi forces rallied. With renewed strength, they launched a counterattack. Their ground troops stormed Dominion bases, driving their oppressors out. By the time the battle ended, the Dominion fleet was in full retreat. Humanity had just won its first interstellar war. The message to the galaxy. After the battle, Carter met General Kyrex face to face. The Sci-fi warrior studied him with sharp, reptilian eyes. "We do not trust outsiders," Kyrex said. "But today, you fought as one of us. The Sci-fi owe you a debt." Ross stepped forward. "You don't owe us anything, but we have a common enemy. Join us, and together, we can bring down the Dominion for good." Kyrex considered this. Then, for the first time, he smiled. "Then let us show the Dominion what happens when they push too hard." The Sci-fi pledged their warriors, ships, and knowledge to humanity's cause. Novik smirked. "Congrats, Captain. You just started an intergalactic rebellion." Carter exhaled. "Then let's make sure we finish it." The message was sent across the stars. To all enslaved worlds, to all those who had lost hope, humanity had risen, and the Dominion was no longer invincible. For the first time, the galaxy had a chance to fight back. The Dominion's last move. Deep in Dominion space, General Vathar stood before the High Council once more. He was no longer calm. He was furious. "The humans have allied with the Sci-fi. The resistance is spreading." One of the Dominion overlords leaned forward. "Then we crush them. No more small battles. No more warnings." He raised a clawed hand. "Summon the Doomsday Fleet. We will end this rebellion before it spreads further." The Thar bowed. "Yes, my lords." Across Dominion space, thousands of warships powered up their weapons. This wasn't just another battle. This was the beginning of the final war. The last stand of humanity. The war had reached its climax. The Dominion's Doomsday Fleet, a force so vast it blotted out the stars, was on its way to crush the rebellion before it could spread further. Thousands of warships, millions of soldiers, enough firepower to turn entire planets to dust. And at the heart of the resistance, leading the charge, was humanity. Captain Daniel Carter stood on the bridge of the HSS Vengeance, staring at the massive fleet heading their way. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming. But he felt no fear. This was what humanity did best: defy the impossible. Dr. Evelyn Ross, standing beside him, whispered, "We can't beat that many ships, Carter. There's too many." Carter smirked. "We don't need to beat them. We just need to make sure they never want to fight us again." The plan: turn the enemy's strength against them. The resistance had grown. The Sci-fi were the first to join, but others followed. Species that had once bowed to the Dominion now stood with humanity. But even with their combined forces, they were still outnumbered 10-1. Ross had spent days analyzing Dominion war tactics. Their fleet was powerful, but it had one weakness: a central command system. If they could disable the fleet's control network, the entire invasion force would collapse into chaos. Novak, the hacker, tapped his console. I've already cracked parts of their system before. This time, I'm going to shut down the entire fleet. Ross nodded. But we need a distraction, something to keep them busy while Novak does his thing. Carter tightened his fists. Then we give them a fight they'll never forget. The battle begins. The Resistance fleet surged forward, meeting the Dominion forces head-on. Human pilots, Sci-fi warships, and other rebel fighters weaved through the chaos of battle, their smaller, faster ships darting between the Dominion's massive war cruisers. Explosions lit up the void. Plasma beams tore through space. On the ground, Dominion dropships landed on rebel-controlled planets, unleashing waves of alien soldiers. Humans and their allies fought back with everything they had. The war had begun in full. Novik's infiltration. Deep inside the HSS Vengeance, Novik sat at his console, sweat dripping down his face. Lines of alien code flooded the screen. Come on, he muttered. The Dominion had beefed up their security after the last hack. This time, they weren't making it easy. Ross stood behind him. Novak, we're running out of time. Outside, Carter's ship was under heavy fire. The shields flickered as plasma bolts rained down. Novik gritted his teeth. Almost there. Then, click. I am in. A second later, across the battlefield, Dominion warships powered down. Their weapons froze, their engines stalled. Entire battle formations collapsed into confusion. Carter saw his moment. All ships, ATKCK no. The Resistance pushed forward, taking advantage of the chaos. Dominion warships were torn apart, their forces scattering in panic. The unstoppable fleet was falling apart. The final confrontation. But not all of them. The Dominion flagship, the Oblivion Spear, still stood. And inside, General Vothar seethed with rage. They think they've won, he roared. I will burn their world to ash myself. The Oblivion Spear's cannons charged up, aimed directly at Earth. A single shot could wipe out an entire continent. Ross's voice came over the comms. Carter, if that thing fires, it's over. Carter didn't hesitate. Then we take it out now. With the Resistance fleet still fighting off the Dominion remnants, only one ship was fast enough to reach the Oblivion Spear in time. The HSS Vengeance. It was up to Carter and his crew. Boarding the enemy flagship, Carter and his team crash-landed inside the Oblivion Spear, fighting their way through wave after wave of Dominion soldiers. The corridors burned, alarms blaring. They had minutes before the cannon fired on Earth. Carter's team reached the control center, where Vathar stood, waiting for them. The alien general drew his blade, a wicked, glowing energy weapon. I should have wiped your species from existence the moment we arrived, he growled. Carter smirked, raising his rifle. Yeah. Well, you didn't. The two charged at each other. The fight was brutal. Carter dodged and weaved, barely avoiding Vathar's deadly swings. The general was faster, stronger, but Carter was smarter. With a sudden roll to the side, Carter grabbed a fallen Dominion blaster and shot Vathar straight through the chest. The alien general staggered, eyes wide in disbelief. This is impossible, he whispered before collapsing to the ground. Carter wiped the blood from his face. No, this is humanity. Ross and Novik rushed in. Carter, we need to shut this ship down. Carter grabbed Vathar's command key and slammed it into the control console. A red warning flashed. Core EOV Erload Ionite. The ship was going to self-destruct. The end of the Dominion. Carter's team raced back to their stolen shuttle, barely making it out before the Oblivion Spear exploded, taking the Dominion's leadership with it. Outside, the remaining Dominion warships, leaderless and crippled, began surrendering. The war was over. The dawn of a new era. Humanity had won. Earth was safe. The Dominion was broken. And across the stars, New allies rose from the shadows, inspired by what had happened. Carter, Ross, and Novik stood on the bridge of the HSS Vengeance, staring at the stars. Ross sighed. "It's finally over." Carter smiled. "No, it's just the beginning." Novik grinned. "So, where to next?" Carter looked at the endless galaxy ahead. Humanity was no longer just defending itself. Now, they were explorers, warriors, and legends, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity's wrath was unleashed.